Hey everyone. Sorry. Right now, so we are going to be, sorry. Hey everyone. So transformation time is coming on, and I'm just gonna be inviting Jacqueline. I can see her come on. Let me get her in here.
Hi,
Hey
Diana.
Jacqueline, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Awesome. Thanks so
Hi.
much for coming on transformation time. It's so awesome to have you on. How
Thank
have
you
you
for having
been?
me. I've been great. Working away.
Awesome. So let's get started on the questions. So for so exciting, right? So let's let everyone know where you are right now in your real estate journey. So yeah, tell us where you're at right now.
Like what I'm currently working on, or
Like your experience, like just tell us about, more just your experience and, like number of asset, like let's say number of flips you've done, whatever you'd like to share about, where you're at right now.
so I started real estate investing going on 6 years ago, and it was I got on this path, and I hadn't realized that I had gotten on this path. And by that, I mean I had my own personal home that I had put up for sale. It did not sell, so and I wanted to move out of the area. So I contacted my realtor and said, screw this. I want to move out of the area. So let's put this house up for rent. I'm going to buy another house. So he's like, oh, okay. And the next house, I was having good luck with the tenants that I had in my home. So I thought, well, I'm going to try this again. So the second house that I had bought, I rented that one out, bought another one that had an in-law suite, and kept on doing this every year, year and a half or so. So now I'm up to six single family home rentals, and I have been flipping. I'm on my eighth or ninth flip. So, and then
Well,
in
that's
the year to
amazing.
come, I want to buy more rentals now. I'm ready for that. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And so now tell us, going back to the beginning. Well, I guess you kind of did, but let's talk more about, I guess, the beginning of you getting more into the flipping business. 'Cause I feel like probably flipping is where probably it became more of a business to you, I would say.
Yeah, something certainly I enjoy, and I kind of evolved into like I said, when I rented my home and bought another home, I never couldn't forecast that. Like, you know what, I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep doing this, and the homes I bought, I didn't. I flipping wasn't even on my mind yet, or real estate investing. It wasn't even a thought yet. It was something that I kind of had an aha moment, and I thought, huh. I think I'm onto something here. I might be able to make a good living with this and have a really awesome retirement, when I'll be in the Rolls Royces of nursing homes or something. I don't know. But the homes that I was buying initially, they didn't need a lot of work like the flips do, but they did need cosmetics and things like that. And these were things that I took on all myself, and I enjoyed it. And so then when I evolved and got the aha moment, like, well, why don't I try flipping? So the flipping started on a low scale, and the house that I'm currently working on, it is much more involved. And had I started flipping or doing anything like this with how this house looked, I would have ran for the hills. I would not have been able to do this. So I graduated into it, and so from each flip, the degree of work and the level of work that it needed, it just kept graduating. But I kept snowballing the experience, the knowledge from one flip, and rolled it into the next. And so it's a cumulative thing. So by the time I got to this flip, which is here in Windsor, the Wellington project, I've got a lot of reno experience under my belt now, and just knowing the go-tos where if I do stumble and I run into problems, I know where to go to, I know who to contact, which is what I didn't have, when I started this. So that was very instrumental.
That's awesome. So, so what would you say then when you started, you had that moment of like that aha where you really wanted to get this going? What would you say is the skills that you had at that point that kind of helped you to really push forward in this journey?
Skill sets. I did a lot of due diligence. I did do my homework, put a lot of groundwork into it. I had a phenomenal realtor down in Niagara, which is where I started, and I graduated here to Windsor. Did a lot of due diligence, and I never had the mindset like, I can't do this. You know, it's very daunting when you, I come from a contractor background with my family, and I'm familiar and I'm comfortable around all of this, but actually working and doing it and having the responsibility going, oh my God, if I don't complete this, you know, I've got money down the toilet. So that was a motivation. I have an incredible work ethic. I'm very driven. I have great people in my camp. I have a small circle of friends and family, and they're very positive. If I don't have somebody whose mindset is linear with mine, I just don't spend time with them. I don't seek their company out. So you're either on board with what I'm doing and supportive, or so, yeah.
That's amazing because it is very important because I feel like the people around us can definitely influence our path. And so it's really good because it just also shows that you're very strong, you know, where you're just not allowing that negativity to come
Yeah.
in and controlling that, which is really important because I think a lot of people do get discouraged because of the
Mhm.
people around them because it is hard to,
Absolutely.
let's say, just self motivate, I would say, right? Like
Mhm.
it is nice to have that motivation from other people to kind of help you out or just that support. So it's awesome
Well,
that you
it
had
boosts
that
your
support.
morale too, because you are going to have days doing this where you're like, what the hell was I thinking by taking this on? You're going to have those days, and you're going to have meltdowns, and you're going to cry, and your tired is going to be tired, but you have to finish whatever you set up to do today because you've got someone coming in tomorrow behind you to work, do something that you have to have your work complete. So your tired is going to be tired. You're going to be frustrated. You're going to be, but you have to have a good support system and a great mindset and believe in yourself, and just you got to drive through that, and then you just have a glass of wine, have a good sleepy, and get up and do it again the next day.
100%. And I think, like you said, having that drive is also important because 100%, like we all fail in life. We all have our failures, and it's
Yep,
just picking ourselves up and continuing forward. Because, I mean,
absolutely.
who has ever had the perfect life where nothing goes wrong?
Yeah, no, yeah, everyone's, I mean, mistakes are made in everything, you know, whether you're a doctor or a teacher or a nurse or whatever. I mean, mistakes are made, but you can't let that get you down. You have to go, well, what contribute to that? What did I do? What decisions did I make that led to that mistake? And then just try not to repeat it. But that's how, like the mistakes, you roll that into the next house, and you don't repeat that, or you don't make the same decisions, or whether it's using the same contractor or where you buy things or how you approach things. So yeah.
100%. Yeah. Also obviously learning from your mistakes, because if you make the mistakes and you don't learn from them, probably not a good sign, right?
Yeah, I get
Then
that.
for sure you'll be making them again, and it'll probably be a whole stressful again situation.
Mhm. Yep.
So so then now going during all your flipping and getting more involved in doing this for yourself, what would you say are the skills that you didn't have and that you felt like now it's time to, ramp that up and get it going and, just, get better at those to increase and improve your business?
Um, Certainly, as I like like I said, each flip, it's more challenging. It's more challenging, and doing my homework. Like there's a time frame between me putting an offer on the house and it closing, whether it's 2 weeks or 4 weeks. I utilize that time now to familiarize myself with what I need to do that job. Also finding an accountant that is a little more savvy and experienced with this type of tax returns. Um, so just filling my camp with people who are more experienced with what I do, and have a little more respect and appreciation for that. And yeah.
Hmm. And so basically, it sounds like you just really started improving your processes or building processes and just kind of like now understanding, like, I need to get this done at this time, this done at this time. And so just improving on it every time.
Yeah, because when I started out, I obviously didn't know what my deficiencies were, whether it's personally or the people that I had to bring in. Yeah, I just didn't know my deficiencies, but you had to learn what those were and recognize it, not ignore it, and fix it so that everything around you improves and works like a fine-tuned machine, like a well-oiled machine, you know? So you have to recognize those deficiencies, don't ignore it, deal with it, and yeah, don't bury your head in the sand. Deal with it and improve your game. Yep.
100%. And then so just going back, so you were saying like you have family that was kind of in that area, the area of renovations and construction, I guess you would say. Um, so were you, even though you had that knowledge, were you still starting from scratch on the actual doing of the renovations, or were you also doing, like, were you involved in their businesses or their work that you still came with like a bit of experience of actually like, the hands-on experience?
No, no, absolutely not. My dad owned a construction company, and so he built custom homes. He started off in Newfoundland, which is where he started his company, and he graduated to doing custom built homes in Vancouver. But my parents got divorced, so the degree of separation, was, and plus I went off to university. I grew up, I went to university, I went to Europe for a year and traveled. So yeah, that wasn't quite there. But our conversations, I mean, when I was younger, I was certainly on the construction sites, but obviously with my age, it was limited. But my conversations with him as a teenager and adult, were involved around construction. So, yep.
That's
That's about.
awesome. So I guess we'll do a question. Trami has a question. And so let's go with her. So she's asking about trades, which I'm going to probably expand a little bit more because you were talking about that you were in Niagara and then you're moving. So you were even changing your trades. So do you have any advice for the viewers on, I guess, like what you look for? Because you're not really maintaining, I'm assuming, the same trades because you had to move from different cities and they're pretty far away from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from Niagara to Windsor, it's a 5-hour drive. So unfortunately, the people that I used there, I mean, I miss them, and but you gotta, I mean, you gotta go out of your comfort zone too. I couldn't let that stop me from transplanting myself here in Windsor, going, oh my God, I've got to start all over again. My realtor here, I went by some referrals. That was how I started, but none of them worked out. I had one person show up at my first flip here in Windsor, and the way he was talking, I finally asked him, I mean, you got to have good instincts, when you choose your people. Go with your gut, trust your gut and your instincts. So I finally asked him, I'm like, are you a licensed electrician? And he's like, no. And I'm like, then I don't understand why you're here. I can't use you. I have a commercial insurance policy. So the legalities and everything. So I ended up I found out about the referral program at Home Depot. And I told them that this is what I'm looking for. So, and Home Depot does all the background checks and criminal checks of the people and checks the credentials of the people that they have in their referral program. And so I found my electrician through that. I still use him. I've been down here now about 2 years. I still use him. And from him, using him on my first flip, I said, can you refer me a plumber? Can you refer somebody who can do windows? Like, things that I can't legally do or don't want to do because I'm not familiar with the code and things like that, and it's for insurance reasons. Yeah, so he was a phenomenal resource, my electrician, Neil. And that's how I found people. Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, so I think it's exactly, I feel like your intuition comes also by experience. Like, sadly to say, I think unless if you know other investors that
Mm-hmm.
can maybe share their references, I feel
Yeah.
like it really comes to just trial and error. You like find people and you just kind of start, I feel like you just start getting to know who is a good actual contractor or good at their trade. and who
Mhm.
is not. And I feel like the same, like we say, like really, I feel like the conversation is what holds it. And especially like you do have to have, I feel like, a bit of background to be able to catch those kind of things, like certain words or just the way they say things,
Yeah.
to be able to actually be like, you know what? Like you said, like, are you actually licensed? You know?
Yeah, I mean, the scale of work. I mean, this house had knob and tool, and I mean, this whole house had to be rewired. I mean, I can't hire someone who watches a YouTube video and is winging it, you know? Like, no, I can't do that. Sorry. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, and I
Yeah.
always
So
draw
that's also, I
permits
think, a
too.
very good tip that you actually provided that, yeah, I didn't, I've never thought of that, that you could go to Home Depot and
Yeah,
ask for them, because it is true. They do have their list of contractors that they use or that they can supply to customers. So that's definitely a great tip, at least like that for starting off. I would say for first timers, at least like that
mhm.
Home Depot has done their vetting. So I feel like
Yep.
you come with a little bit more confidence.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
what
that's
you
an
do, like
awesome
what I
tip.
did was I told them that I needed an electrician, and so then they contact three people on three electricians on their list. Those three people contact you, and then you know, you go from there and you choose who you want. So yeah, yeah, it
That's
was a great program.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great tip. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will take that into consideration. Because for me, I've never thought of it, but that's because my husband does renovations. So, I've never kind of put it in my mind. But that's definitely, I think people who come with no experience will definitely,
Mhm.
I think, should take advantage of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because just the fact, I don't know if Lowe's has it either. I haven't needed the program or relied on Home Depot for that because now through the electrician referral that I had, it kind of snowballed. My referrals came from Neil now, and I trust his judgment. And the people that he has sent my way, they're phenomenal. They're honest. They're very efficient. Their communication, their honesty, how they talk to their fellow coworkers when they're here. I had one person I really did not appreciate how he talked to his apprentice, so I did not use him again. And then I reached out to Neil and said, hey, I need another plumber. Can you refer me someone? And he did, and so that's worked out well. But yeah, I look at their communication, their honesty, their efficiencies, their work ethic. um, I don't want any excuses. I don't want to hear it. You know, just straight up tell me I'm a big girl. Just be honest. So yeah, that's what I look for too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also true. I feel like when people make excuses about things, also that really puts like a bad taste in my mouth. It's just like, just tell me the truth and we move on from there. But it's like, I
Yeah.
hate the excuses.
Yeah, like I'm a big girl. It's all good. Like, you know, I know life happens, life comes up. I get it. Just tell me, and then I can work my schedule around this. And, you know, don't tell me that you're going to be here at 9, you show up at 1. Like, I can't work my work schedule around that. If, you know, when I'm anticipating you and I think you're going to work in this room, I have work to do in this room. So I don't do it. And then I start somewhere else. So lack of communication and I think you froze on me. Then.
Yeah, I think it's coming
Ah, there
back.
you are.
Are you? Yeah, I think we're back. Sorry. Yeah, I got frozen. I think it must have been my side because both of
Yep.
ours got frozen. Sorry,
Okay.
could you say that again? Yeah, I kind of actually, it like froze almost at the very beginning of the sentence.
I don't know what my last sentence was. Just basically, if they're not honest, like we're all adults here, so you know, just be honest with me. And if I don't get a good vibe and I don't get that, then I'm just going to give you a pink slip. Like there's other tradespeople out there looking for work that I can find. I don't need to put up and deal with somebody who is not, you know, just doing shoddy work or dishonest or anything like that. There's lots of people out there to choose from, so don't feel
Yeah.
like you're stuck with that person. You know? Yeah.
hmm And I think it also just comes to communication. Like I
Yeah.
feel like some people, if for example there's a delay or something, it's like they take it so like they just don't want to tell you about it, let's say. And sometimes you're just like, if you had told me, we could have done a plan to still keep on going, but it's like you hide this from me. And now it's
Mhm.
like, I feel like now we're in a worse situation. Whereas, like, if we just knew this from the very beginning, we'd been like, okay, plan. What are we doing? Let's get going, right?
Yeah, I want my tradespeople to be partners with me, not a project. You know, you've got to be a
Hmm.
partner, not a project with me. I already got enough
Yeah.
project. I don't need more by trying to deal with you and, train you. So, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And that again, like building that relationship and which I feel like I feel that is very hard for investors to find good contractors that want to build relationships sometimes because I feel like the way they build relationships is different with clients than when it's dealing with investors. Like I feel like we as investors see that very differently and treat it very differently. So I feel like sometimes it's really hard to actually pull those kind of people into our worlds, don't you think?
Yeah, that's a good point because, like I said, whether it's people in my personal life or my camp and my working or a real estate agent or just whatever, if I don't feel like I had your respect for what I'm doing and what I'm all about, um, I'm going to replace you. You don't need to like what I do, but be professional when you're here. I don't need you to like me. Or anything like that, but let's have a good professional. I don't need your attitude. I don't need your judgment. I didn't ask for it. I don't need it. So yeah, I've gotten it. I've gotten it. I've gotten it all. And then I just replace them. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And so then going back to what you're talking about when you first starting doing flips or just even your rental properties, because you also said you started doing some little bits of rehab here and there.
Yeah. They
For
always
the
needed
viewers,
cosmetic stuff. Yeah.
cosmetics, yeah. So for the viewers, especially let's say for a first time flipper, what would you say with your experience of how you started and maybe where you are now, maybe it's changed? What kind of things would you say around the house that would be easy for someone who doesn't come with experience that they could do themselves and not
Well,
hire someone?
yeah. I mean, painting, flooring, putting up curtains. My rentals all come with curtains, and it's in the lease. Like you cannot take this down. You're not allowed to, swap it out with your own stuff. It's all there in the lease. So doing things like that, and then little things I kind of graduated with, um, swapping out toilets, making sure there was like that's easy too. It's hard, it's messy, but it can be done. Things like that, because I mean, if you hire a plumber to come in to pick up a toilet and it's and that wax ring and then put the toilet back, you're looking at about $200, $250. When within an hour you could have this done yourself and save yourself $250 and maybe put that 250 towards a 200 toilet as opposed to $100 toilet and have it's more you know uh,
Get like an
environmentally friendly
energy
and low
efficient toilet or
flush and all of
something.
that. So things like that, you graduate to that. It's heavy, it's frustrating, and just remember to turn the water off before you start disconnecting things. Turn the water off. And flush it a good couple of times and make sure that there's no water coming underneath and stuff like that, and just YouTube all of these things and learn how to graduate to swapping out a faucet or putting in a nice shower head and things like this. And you just kind of graduate and just give yourself time. Don't do a rush job. Give yourself a good timeline to do these things and clean up, landscaping, curb appeal. Get out there with a saw or a chainsaw, or if you're comfortable using that kind of tool, and clean the place up and do some painting, interior, exterior, and things like that.
Awesome. And so what would you say was your scariest learning experience in a renovation that you're like, okay, like that, like I want to do a bigger job, so that means you're gonna have to learn to do something that you've never done, but it was really scary for you. What would you say was the scariest thing for you to learn?
I wanted to, I didn't do this by myself. I had to bring in a second person to do this. it was knocking down a load-bearing wall, which is very scary. If it wasn't a load-bearing wall, and this is something else too, where you need the experts, you want someone to identify for you, you know, before you start knocking down load-bearing walls, make sure if that wall is load-bearing or not. But if it is, I wanted to open it up and the kitchen so that you could, you know, see the kitchen and the dining room and the living room and all of this. So you have to put in an LVB, like a support beam now up once you knock all of this down and make sure everything is done. So you need 2 or 3 people to help you put that beam in, depending on the width of the beam, obviously. But yeah, that was pretty, I felt pretty, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing now? I'm knocking down walls and putting in support beams and oh my God. So yeah, I was like, what?
Especially
But that's
that the
done, you know,
supporting
that's done.
wall. The supporting wall is pretty scary, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, it was like, oh my gosh, I felt like I graduated to a whole level of complex. It was like, okay, this is going beyond painting and wood flooring. But you know, I got through it, and I know I learned a lot from that. And this was quite a few years ago. But I'm going to be rolling that experience and knowledge into this one because I want to do something like that in the back bedroom here. So yeah,
Oh,
just to open it
awesome.
up.
That's awesome. And
Mhm.
um, so so with that being said, I think a very good tip that you also gave there was basically that you also didn't do it alone, which is probably something also very good when you're going to do something big and you want to learn. Having someone there, I think is always great that has the experience because fine, that time maybe you're paying full price, let's say, to get it done.
Mhm.
But you're doing it together with them. You have that person there. You can ask them the questions, make sure you fully understand it and have
Mhm.
that knowledge. So, and even like that, if you get to work together where you're actually getting the hands-on experience with the knowledge, I think is, yeah, that's a great way to do it, that you hired someone to help you through that process.
Yeah, I think when you get into this, like, don't let fear stop you from graduating into complexities, but also recognize your limitations and know when to bring someone in who's familiar with code and things like that and can guide you through it. So, you know, yeah, don't let fear stop you from physically trying to take it on, but recognize your limitations and recognize who you need to bring in to make sure it's done properly to code and all of that. Yeah, absolutely.
100%. And I think for some people also just thinking about money, like I feel like some people get worried like, oh, it's going to be so much money to hire this person to do it. But if you're really doing a business, spend that money, get that professional experience because you know what, you'll learn a lot from it and you may not need to use that person or at least use them a little bit less, if anything.
Mhm. Well,
Did,
you're
did
also
you ever
going to
have that
learn.
feeling? Did you ever think like, oh, you know, like I didn't want to spend the money on something and you'd want to do it to yourself, but you didn't have the confidence, let's say, to do it?
No, the things that I hire out are definitely things that I definitely shouldn't be doing. Like, you know, the rewiring a whole house where permits are drawn and things like that. Putting in a second bathroom, you know, that needs to be done to code. You're jackhammering up like the foundation and things like that, and you're dealing with old plumbing and new plumbing and putting it all together and what's, you know, needs to be thrown out. So yeah, the things I hire people to do, that's definitely things I just will never ever ever take on. And I have also found that, you know, with my flips, when people find out that I drew permits for the electrical and the plumbing, they're very impressed by that. They know that things were done on the up and up, that city inspectors came out and wrote off on it and things like that. So,
That's
but
awesome.
yeah, so it's
And
worth
I
the
think
money.
that's also a good thing because I feel like some people also are scared about the permits and, for example, won't do things with permits. What are your views about it?
I think electrical and plumbing should be done with permits. I mean, if you're bumping out a house or if you're taking off a roof and you're putting on a second story and things like that, you know, you're going to be using tradespeople and contractors that are going to want to do permits anyhow. And you don't want that scale of work done by someone who's not comfortable with drawing a permit. That's my opinion.
Yeah,
And it just helps for
100%. I
resale.
also agree with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sorry, what was the last thing you said?
I just think it helps with resale as well. It gives me, I mean, I've invested a lot of money into what I do. So, I want to know that the work that I've had done, and when I pass the keys over, I'm handing over a good product, a good home. And, I want that peace of mind and things like that, that I'm handing over a home that I know that they don't have to worry about it was done right. And they may not like the cosmetic side of things, my decor choices and stuff like that, but those are cheap, easy swap outs down the road. They can live with that, but they can't live with shoddy plumbing that wasn't done properly, or electrical, or things like that. So
100%. Definitely having the purchasers, the purchaser in mind is so important because, yeah, it just shows some level of integrity. You do want you want to make sure that they're gonna live in a safe, nice house, and make sure that their house is not falling apart like in a year or something.
absolutely.
So have you stuck to always interior work, or have you done any exterior work in any of your flips?
To a small scale, I do, like some houses do require a little bit of curb appeal, grooming, and just a little bit, very cost effective, but the wow factor and what it does, when people buy these homes, the less that they feel like they're going to have to do when they buy this home, interior or exterior, it's very comforting to them. These flips are not new builds, and where everything is done and they know what they're getting. But these fixer uppers, they need a little love on the outside, and you want the outside to reflect what's going on in the inside as well, to give a whole package, right? And to create a lot of less work for that person. You just want them to buy it, get the keys, come in and enjoy their new home, and then work on things like cosmetics that they don't like and change. So, yep. Yep. No, the outside is
So what
definitely
kind of
important.
things did you do? So have you ever gotten like the roof done or anything, or is it just
Yeah,
like
no,
like
the roof
lawn
has definitely
care?
had to be done. Roof is definitely, I've had some houses where the roof has definitely needed to be done like yesterday. This particular house, the back half, I don't know why, but the front half of the house had one layer of shingles. It was done properly. It was, in relatively good shape. There was nothing, the vents were good, everything. But back end of the house, it had 9 layers of shingles on it. It didn't have plywood underneath it. There was some metal sheeting or something. Really, really, really bad work. I don't understand it, but that got fixed within the day. My roofer came out. They ripped it all off, and just repaired everything, new plywood, new soffits, and yeah, and 1 layer of shingles. Nine layers is not code, I'll tell you that. I think the most you can do is 3, and I don't know why I understand finances are, tight for some people, and so they don't rip off the old shingles, they just put on, over the old shingles to save money and labor and all of this, but in the long road, it's going to cost you even more, because those shingles don't stay on after a while. You have a good windstorm and they're all flying off everywhere. So it's better to do
Exactly.
things properly and save yourself, spend the money now instead of, end up spending more money than if you had done it right. So, yeah.
100%. And I'm curious, I wonder if people think that layering roofs like maybe help to waterproof a little bit more. Because I do find it really funny when people go into like getting all these layers in and you're just like,
Mm.
oh my God. And once you're probably hitting 3 layers, like you said, it was 9, then I'm sure that cost, like the next person who owned it was just like, man, I have to pay for 3 layers to get removed. Might as well
Well, just
just
the
pile
weight
on top.
too, just the weight too of what is putting this on your rafters and your attic and all of this. But I mean, uh fortunately the inside interior of the attic, nothing had to be reinforced or sistered up or anything like that. So, but I mean, the potential was there if if you had a weak rafter to begin with and you start layering on, it's going to cave in even more. But my rafters are good, nothing needed to be repaired or sistered up or anything like that. So
That's awesome. So now talking, I guess, outside of renovations,
Mhm.
um, were there other things that you learned not involving renovations that you felt like you needed to learn or have this experience with you to, improve, like to have your flipping business?
Um, I don't know. I mean, running this and having being successful at this, there's a lot of faucets, and I mean, I don't want to do my own accounting or anything like that. However, I didn't let, I mean, I'm going to hire somebody who's experienced with that, but I didn't let that negate the fact of, familiarizing myself and having a good working knowledge so I can have a good educated conversation with my accountant if he talked about things that wasn't going over my head. I did read some Canadian tax books and things like that, just to familiarize myself with it, even though I'm never going to do my own taxes because each year there's different, things change, and my
I was
accountant, he has
gonna say.
continuing education, so this is what I'm paying. Like, he's on top of what's current and what's changing year after year after year. And, I wouldn't even know where to go and go, okay, what's new now? What's going on in the tax world. So that just gives you peace of
100%.
mind. Hmm.
Yeah, I think the same way. It's always good to have at least a good general knowledge where exactly what you said, like it won't go over your head, and at least
Hmm.
you can carry that conversation and make
Yeah.
sure that decisions are good. Because even also, I noticed that uh, like the conversations may be important too for the accountant to make the right decisions for you.
Hmm.
And if you
Hmm.
can't communicate that because you don't understand enough, you could even just be putting yourself in a situation that
Hmm.
you're maybe paying more taxes just because you didn't give the accountant enough information because you're not asking enough questions, and obviously the accountant can only tell you so much, right?
Hmm. Yeah, if you
Yeah,
keep
so
yourself
that's
abreast
a
on
good one.
every faucet of it, I mean, you'll know too, what questions to ask. You'll know what to ask or anything like that, and it also gives you just a little bit of credibility. And no one can pull the wool over your eyes or take advantage of you or let things slide or do things shoddy or anything like that. If they know you're on top of your game and it's a little hard. It's a little hard to, you know, have one slipped by you, no matter what it is.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's also by experience. Like
Mhm.
by experience, you'll just start, picking up on things and realizing, okay, I need to ask this question or that question. Because I feel like
Yeah.
also when you just start, you never ask all the questions until probably something comes up and then you think, wow, why didn't I think about asking this kind of question? Now I need to tell
Mhm.
my accountant or
Yeah.
whatever it is, not even
Yeah.
accountant.
Absolutely.
That's so interesting. So, so actually, I think you told us then. So our final question, but I'll still ask it anyways if you want to elaborate on it, is now where do you see yourself in like in the future, in the next like 5 to 10 years? Like, what is your plan?
I have some thoughts. Some things are rolling around. I mean, when I started into this, going on about 6 years ago, I had, I mean, like I said, I got on this path unknowingly, and I didn't seek out real estate, knowledge or anything like that. But the past while, I had some big aspirations, and I've learned now that there are people out there who are so knowledgeable and so experienced with all of this, and there is so much to be gained from seeking these people out. And the light bulb has gone off in the past little while, and I'm thinking, well, now that I'm armed with all this knowledge, I should be using this to advance and further my game. Purchasing more rentals, getting into multifamily units like a threeplex or a triplex, sorry, and a fourplex. That is definitely something I'm more comfortable taking on. I have some experience dealing with tenants now, and
Mhm.
I'm going to use that to my advantage by taking on multifamily. I hope to do that in the next year or two, and commercials and things like that. And I have a pipe dream of owning a boutique hotel one of these days in the Niagara area. So it's a concept.
Oh,
It's
that's so
it's a
nice.
concept boutique hotel that it's been fueling around in my head for about 4 or 5 years. I know exactly where I want to build it. I've got the picture in my head, how I'm going to design it, the concept, and how I'm going to market it, and all this. So that's been going around in my head the past 4 or 5 years. A boutique hotel. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool. It'd be so exciting. It's gonna be exciting to see you like that. Yeah, it sounds like you have lots of plans for the future. It'll be exciting to see you continue to grow. And I think it's just really exciting that you're a woman and you're doing this because there aren't very many women that will get into flipping houses. So it's so awesome to have you on because like we need to get more women getting involved and maybe not to the full extent that you're in, but even just getting more involved in flipping and because I think it's yeah, you're definitely one of a great role model for women, I feel like.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I'm new to Instagram, and I've been on it now 8 or 9 months, I think, or 7 months or whatever. And that's been a learning curve right there, and it's been very resourceful in finding real estate people, the webinars, the podcasts, and things like that. People like yourself. It's a lot, but I'm learning how can I, come across and share what I'm doing to show people that they can do it. And so now one of my taglines that I've been doing the past couple of weeks, if I do a video or anything, I'm Jacqueline and you can do this. You can do this. You can do this. Seek out people. Don't do it by yourself. You can do this. Start small, and just build on that. And if you're new to it, like right now with this flip, I gave myself 8 weeks. Well, when I started out, I did not give myself 8 weeks, even though all it needed was painting and flooring and some light fixtures and things like that. I gave myself 3 or 4 months, but your own personal efficiencies with things that gets better, and the quicker you are, like I can lay out flooring now like no one's business and paint a room or a house. Whereas
Mhm.
before
And
that
with your
was not
comfort
the
level, like
case.
I think that's a great quality that you had actually that back then your time frames which were much longer because I feel like in the general sense, I feel like lots of new investors, they're like, "Oh yeah, yeah, I can get it done in a month." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" Like, are we being a little too optimistic? Like, I think that's really great that you do that, like having longer is way better because as you progress like that, then you really start learning the way you work, right? Because especially if you're just starting off, you really don't know how long things take you. And
Yeah,
normally I feel like for a noob, it's always like, oh, flooring, it's so easy. I get it done in a couple hours. And you're just kind of like, I don't think
yeah,
so?
yeah, yeah. Now you definitely learn about your skills and how it grows, and your time efficiencies with how to do things and everything like that. So, yeah, no, I when I started out like flipping houses, 3 or 4 months, 3 or 4 months, I give 5 months, 6 months. But now I'm better able to go into a house and realize what kind of time frame I can do this in. Unfortunately, with this house, I ran into a snag with the windows. My contractor, uh, something came up with him, unfortunately, so he needed an extension of 3 or 4 weeks before he can come here or get someone to come in for him and do that. So, but other than that, yeah, no, it's all gone smoothly within the time frame that I thought, and yeah, so.
That's awesome. And so hopefully soon we'll get to hear about your flip that you finished and we get to see how that goes.
Yeah, I've got the bottle of champagne on standby.
Amazing. That's awesome. Thanks for coming on. It was so awesome having you on and hearing about you gave like your journey and just giving all your tips. It was very, very good information and I think a lot of people will get a lot out of this for sure.
Well, I hope so. I try. This is like even doing something like this. This is a new skill set that I'm learning, right? So I
Mhm.
really appreciate the opportunity, and I'm so grateful for that. Thank you so much, Diana.
Awesome. Thank you. And then bye to everyone. Thanks so much for coming on and listening to us. And thank you, Jacqueline, so much for coming on.
Thank
See
you.
everyone in the next live. Bye.
Have a good night. Bye.
Good night. Bye.